Hello, I am Gabriel Hawk, and somebody asked me how I make hard-hitting 808s, and I figured if just one guy asked, then multiple people would want to know, so this is my first tutorial video. I might start doing more. Um, what I'm doing is a little specific to Fruity Loops, or FL Studio, they now call it, but I will explain how it's really not that different. So when you have an 808, they usually sound like this. I'm going to take the envelope off. Oops. They usually sound... So they got this low end, but they don't have that hit that you want, you know? And there's multiple ways to deal with it. You can be EQing kicks together and stuff. I like to use these ADSR filters that are on Fruity Loops. Their filters are a little weird because they have this hold thing on that's attached to everything else. But basically all I'm doing is taking the attack off the 808 for this, so it sounds like this. Fine. And so I basically pick a kick to be the attack kick, and I do the exact same thing. This is what it sounds like. It's actually not that long. It's still punchy, but it's got this long low end sub that's there and kind of this little staticky, almost vinyl-y thing. So I don't want that. So I am filtering that out, making sure the attack is 0, so it's still hitting hard, but it's not very long. I might make it a little longer. And so when you do that, and you combine that with an 808, you've basically got your attack kick and your sustained body kick. And your 808, you know, there's different sounding 808s. Some of them are really distorted. Here's an example of the same 808 we have distorted. Which is great for, you know, if you need the bass to come through laptops or whatever. That's a super extreme distortion, obviously. Capitator's there too. We can punish it. That's just absurd. But anyway, sometimes that's what I'm getting with these other samples I pick. Anyway, when these two come together, they sound like this. And so the ADSR envelopes are a little specific to Fruity Loops. I was also talking about this glide function. And it just lets you pick where you want this note to glide up to and how long it takes. So we could do one that's like takes forever, or so that's why I don't use, because the obvious question would be, why don't I just use a synth? Because 808s aren't much different than just like a really low sine wave and maybe some extra saw or something on top just to make it cut through a little. And that's just because Fruity Loops makes it super easy to do these glide things, and I don't want to deal with Massive and all of its glide function shit, because with Massive, you know, you can pick the glide, but the amount is static unless you, you know, automate the actual glide button. But this lets you pick how long you want it to glide up to a note for. So, oddly enough, the way we interpret sounds is the first 10 milliseconds, that transient attack, tells us a lot about what it sounds like. And since the goal here is to make it sound like one kick, switching this out for something that sounds like this can drastically change the sound. So without the envelope, I pitched this up a shit ton, by the way, because it was just too much, and I really like the transient up here. It's really bouncy. So just a little bit is getting rolled off there. Maybe even pitch it up a little more. And then I have these other 808 sounds. That one's like pre-distorted for me, so that's great, and that's long as hell. I mean, look how long that is. That is awesome. awesome. That one sounds low, but it still could cut through. So, you know, I can mix and match whatever I want here. The important thing to know when you distort 808s is that no matter what people tell you, you are going to lose some bottom end. It might not seem like it if you put a spectrum analyzer on it because you're not technically losing bottom end. But when you distort something, you're making it louder, and that messes with your balance. So you're going to want to turn it down. And when you turn it down, obviously the low end is going to go down with it because the low end isn't what's getting, I mean, it is getting distorted, but you're mainly hearing it in the high end. So that's how we interpret sounds, because if there's more high end to low end, then that sound has just lost low end. It's a ratio thing. So that is the basic gist of it. An example of where I would use that. This is an okay example. I haven't distorted this 808 enough yet, but I was doing, what the hell? I took a Drake acapella from 0 to 100, which of course sucks because somebody used phase to get it out of there. But the kick and the 808 is totally all gliding, and it's the exact same thing I just taught you.
Fuck being on some chill shit. We go 0 to 100, nigga, real quick.
Let's turn that down.
They be on that rap to pay the bill shit. And I don't feel that shit, not even a little bit. Oh Lord, know yourself, know your work.
So, you know, it's whatever. It could be longer. You can definitely hear the decay of it. I started doing this because I read in an interview that 40, Drake's engineer, said he used some special thing as a secret for his drums that he doesn't tell anybody, and only Kanye was doing it on 808s and Heartbreak. And I figured it was probably a synth with a sub bass, and then they use like a really clicky kick on top of that. That's not exactly what I'm doing, obviously. I'm using 808 samples, and I do that purely because I just like this glide function. It's really nice. I just love that. Anyway, so that's how I make 808s hit harder. Otherwise, you got this. Which is fine, but it's a little disappointing. It's a little underwhelming. And certainly if you listen to a lot of Drake songs, they have really hard-hitting kicks with those 808s. So, you know, songs like We'll Be Fine, I'm sure has them, and Hotline Bling for sure. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. So that's my first video. I might be posting more, so thank you.